Hey everyone, Carl here from SapX, and with the token sales coming up, now is the time to give you a Hey everyone, Carl here from SapX, and with the token sales coming up, now is the time to give you a Hey everyone, Carl here from SapX, and with the token sales coming up, now is the time to give you a Hey everyone, Carl here from SapX, and with the token sales coming up, now is the time to give you a Hey everyone, Carl here from SapX, and with the token sales coming up, now is the time to give you a Hey everyone, Carl here from SapX, and with the token sales coming up, now is the time to give you a Hey everyone, Carl here from SapX, and with the token sales coming up, now is the time to give you a Hey everyone, Carl here from SapX, and with the token sales coming up, now is the time to give you a
Okay, hey everyone, I want to welcome everybody to the AMA this evening. And what I basically want to be able to talk about is some of the happenings at SnapX, kind of tell you a bit more about our core values, our mission, where we're going, how we're doing. I'm supposed to give a general update on the progress, our timeline. Okay, hey everyone, I want to talk a little bit about everybody to the as well. AMA so for example, we know that there's been a Bitcoin price drop, to talk about, but how exactly has that happened? That's going to be one of the kind of key factors and one of the core fundamentals that will be under discussion, where we're going, how we're doing. Now, just a quick, I'm supposed to give a general. I will not be taking questions over the course of our timeline. Ask me okay, hey everyone, I want to talk a little bit about them over the Telegram for example. We know that there's been a Bitcoin price drop, but how exactly has that happened? That's going to be one of the kind of key factors and one of the core fundamentals. More than willing to give mission, trading where we're going, how we're doing. Now, just a quick, separate general. I will not be taking because like we said, progress. We're our timeline. Okay, hey everyone, I want to talk a little bit about them over the Telegram for example. We know that there's been a Bitcoin price drop, but how exactly has that possibility? One of the kind of key factors and one of the core fundamentals more than willing to give mission, trading where we're going, how you're doing. So first and foremost, separate general, I will not be taking because like we progress. We're our timeline. Okay, hey everyone, I want to talk a little bit about them. Cahill is so difficult to pronounce, but that's the issue when you have a name that's very, very Irish. All right. So I've been the CEO of SnapX since July 2021, and we managed to oversee the fundraise and the actual token sale. Now, with the token sale, we actually became the world's first contract for difference trading platform with an actual platform token as well as an ecosystem. So with our ecosystem, we combine both DeFi and centralized exchange elements. So that means we have the 100x leverage pool, in some cases 150x leverage pool on trading pairs like Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. As well as actually having a higher stop loss than other platforms that are out there, such as the 99% stop loss. So up to 99% stop loss and up to 150x leverage. And we do that just to make different trading options available to people. One of the things that I also want to be able to encourage people to do with regards the trading is just to select small leverage. High leverage trading is very risky, which is why I encourage people, and I would even say implore people, to be able to select smaller leverage and to be able to proceed accordingly. Be sure to do your own research. Be sure to select the strategy that best suits your trading needs and best suits your trading tolerance. As well as that, I just want to give a very quick update because quite a few of you have been asking about the next platform update. When's it going to happen and what's it going to look like, okay? So with the next platform update, it's going to be happening on the 16th of May, and it's going to be the soft launch of one of our very big cornerstone features. So we'll be taking applications and sending out an email about that, I believe tomorrow or Friday. So you'll be receiving news about that, and we are very, very excited. Now, not everybody will be invited. It'll be a few select participants. So we'll be taking applications, filtering through those, and we'll be running a concurrent campaign in order to be able to test the platform, spot if there are any bugs, see if you guys have any feedback, and basically listen to you guys. How can we make it better? How can we optimize the overall performance of the platform? Because those are the key things we always want to be able to do. Optimize the platform, give the smoothest and simplest trading experience, and to be able to say to the community, we're here for you. We want to give you the platform that you want. And the best way of doing that is by listening to you guys, looking back inwards, bringing that feedback on board, and being able to say, we can make it significantly, we can make it the platform that you guys want. And that's what we always want to be able to do. Okay? So those are the core things that we want to be able to go over with you guys over the course of this AMA. Okay? With regards to SnapX, a few people have asked about what the core mission, values, etc. of SnapX are. Okay? So SnapX itself basically means trading is a snap. And the overall reason we did that was to create a trading experience that's very simplified, that's very straightforward, and we wanted to create a UI that's very easy to use, meaning that as soon as you went into the platform, you know what to do. It's a very straightforward process, and that we'd basically be able to reward users who participated in it. Now, we've constantly been adding and building on top of that, such as the actual DeFi component. And when we talk about the DeFi component, we've got the launchpads. So far, we have done two separate projects on the launchpad. Beyond that, we've also done the actual staking. The staking being the actual, the DeFi staking being the LP staking, as well as the centralized staking. So the way we see it is that by basically giving additional use cases for the Snap tokens, that we'll be able to give more back to the community as a whole, as well as give greater rewards to the SnapX community in general. Beyond that, we're also planning on actually bringing in a number of different use cases for the tokens, which will be coming up, I believe, in the coming months. Those will be the use cases for the tokens with regards paying for trading fees, overnight fees, and multiple different things like that. So there'll be a lot coming up. So be sure to stay tuned to our various channels, and you're going to see quite a lot that's happening within the actual SnapX platform, the community, and basically different things that will be taking place. Now, some people have been asking me, how exactly are we able to use SnapX? How are we able to get the best use out of it? How are we able to get the best results out of it? And how exactly are we able to just move beyond trading and to be able to, all in all, actually make profit, we'd say, from like both price movements. So if the price goes up or if the price goes down, are we able to make a return on investment? So that's basically the overall function of SnapX from the very beginning. Okay, with CFD trading, you're never actually purchasing the underlying asset. Okay, and the underlying asset in our case being cryptocurrencies. And of course, we'll be adding more in the future. We'll be adding Forex, we'll be adding stocks, and we'll be adding much, much more, as well as different commodities. So those are different things that we'll actually be doing. So there's no transfer of ownership of an underlying asset. However, with CFD trading, what you're doing is you're looking at the difference in price between the opening and the closing of an order. Okay, if you take a long position, you profit from the price going up, and if you take a short position, so if you're shorting an asset, you're basically profiting from the price going down. Now, those are the key things that are happening right now. So that's why, in my mind, derivatives have been the main driver of the crypto market growth, adding liquidity to the market, as well as actually just giving institutional and retail markets the ability to be able to profit from both price directions. Before 2021, what we saw was actually spot for every single year. Spot trading was significantly higher than derivatives trading. Starting in 2021, derivatives for the very first time actually overtook spot trading as a whole in terms of overall trading volume. So in, I believe it was June 2021, there was about maybe a 45-55 split. 45% of crypto volumes was in spot trading, 55 was in derivatives. Right now we're seeing 60% being in derivatives and about 40% being in spot. So what we've seen is that the investor money and that the crypto trader money is actually moving towards derivatives. Why is this the case? Well, because cryptocurrency as a whole is a very volatile asset, meaning that you're much more likely to have peaks and troughs, basically ups and downs. And what we want to be able to do is basically give investors the ability to be able to take various positions to be able to make the best return on investment that they would like. Now, we've adjusted the trading fees to actually be the most suitable for the audience as a whole. And that's one of the things that we're quite proud of, that we're very transparent about our fee structure, what you get at any given point, and that you know basically how much you'll be charged from the moment you place the order. That's a key thing that we want to be able to do here. Beyond that, we're also pursuing additional licenses. So we have made a few applications in Tier 1 and Tier 2 jurisdictions. We can't update you on the progress of that at this moment in time because some of it is a little bit confidential, but we'll be sure to keep you guys posted as we continue through this journey. So don't worry, there will be a lot of updates happening within the coming months. Okay? So a few people were asking, how exactly can we evaluate the Bitcoin market? Okay, Bitcoin, of course, being the major cryptocurrency that we're looking at, and of course, it's a very good benchmark to be able to evaluate the overall value of the crypto market as a whole. Now, one thing I point out is that the Bitcoin price does not necessarily equate to the crypto market, because within the crypto market, you're talking about movements in both directions. You're actually talking about you're basically talking about derivatives as a whole. With Bitcoin price, you're only looking at, does it go up? If it goes up, I profit. If it goes down, I don't profit. So that's a very big difference that we're looking at there. So what you're able to do in this case is that you're able to basically look at the overall, you're able to adjust your trading strategies according to what best suits your need. So that's why I encourage you to be able to look at the most suitable option for you, okay? Key thing that I always encourage people to do: look at your risk tolerance, look at how much you're able to put down, and don't put down any amount that you can't. Just say if you can't afford to lose it, do not put that down. Be safe, be sure to take the move that's best suited to your needs and proceed accordingly, okay? So those are the key things. Trading is a snap, that we're able to give people flexibility in their trading strategies, that we've got higher leverage, higher stop loss, and that we're continuously adding features. Keep your eye out for what's happening on May the 16th, because that is going to be a very big development in our minds. All right? So those are the other things that we're actually looking at there. Okay? So when the price of Bitcoin, for example, is going down, now looking at the data, and this was another question from one of our users, okay? If the price goes down on an underlying asset, we will say Bitcoin, Ethereum, it could be Luna. If you manage to short Luna, you are one of the most fortunate traders out there. We heard of a particular person who was actually shorting Luna to the tune of 150 million. To us, that was a very big development. And we've heard of various moves like these throughout the market of late. I'll be going into Luna, UST, algorithmic stablecoins later on over the course of this session, but basically on a platform like SnapX, on a platform like, we'll say, FTX, you can actually make those returns from taking a short position. So that's why I'd say look at the charts, look at the data, evaluate where the trends are going. Is the market sentiment bullish or is it bearish? For example, where exactly will the value of Bitcoin hold? Some think it will be about 30,000. Some think it will be about 35,000. Point of resistance currently or previously they said is about 35,000. So that's something that's definitely worthwhile looking at. Okay, and just look at basically where the price support will be. I personally think it's going to be around the 31,000 range. But that's simply one analysis. There's going to be competing claims that are out there, and that's why I strongly encourage people to be able to look at that. Okay. Speaking of that, there are multiple campaigns that are happening within SnapX at this moment in time. Be sure to keep abreast, be sure to keep posted, and be sure to follow what's happening on our Twitter, our Facebook, our YouTube, and our Telegram channels. So keep yourself abreast, keep yourself posted, and just be sure to look at what is happening. Okay, so that's why I say have a look at the Bitcoin price, have a look at the Ethereum price. We see that actually Bitcoin is dumping at a faster rate than Ethereum. Why is that the case though? Well, one of the theories that's currently out there, especially one that's been prevalent over the last few days, is that it has happened by and large because the Luna Foundation Guard, which was actually hedging by basically purchasing more Bitcoin, just in case the UST dollar peg broke. UST to USDT, which is subsequently pegged to USD. I know it sounds confusing, but that's nevertheless how it is. Just in case that peg came under any downward pressure, which of course we saw over the last few days. So some people were saying there were like 52,000 Bitcoin that were actually transferred out of the LFG wallet, which was an enormous Bitcoin movement that would actually cause significant downward pressure. Okay, so when you're talking about significant downward pressure, what does that mean? Well, because you're talking about Luna actually being redeemable against UST and vice versa. I'll go into the mechanics of how exactly it works later on. We actually saw the price of UST, rather than being pegged to 1-to-1 to USDT, it actually fell down to 0.62 on Binance. Now, luckily, we have seen some price recovery in recent times, but nevertheless, this has been a major cause for concern, which has actually upset the balance in the crypto sphere of late. So how exactly would we look at that? So LFG, so what we saw with the Bitcoin that was transferred out, is that they basically emptied or significantly depleted their reserves in order to save the price peg. And thankfully, Do Kwon has actually put an enormous emphasis on restoring the price. Do Kwon, believe it or not, is a person I have enormous respect for. He's come out like a leader. During times of crisis, he was there, he was standing at the front, and he was talking about basically what can we do to save it, because he acknowledged that this is a crisis. He acknowledged that it was significantly undermining credibility and trust in LFG, but he got out there. He listened to the community, he communicated with the community, and that's something I have an awful lot of respect for. Now, there were rumors that Citadel, in particular, were actually behind the attack that took place on UST. How would an attack like this be possible? One of the things that we see from UST, or the Luna Foundation Guard, is basically that with it, you are aware. So one of the things you need in order to coordinate attack of this caliber or of this magnitude, you need to be aware of how much that they have in reserve. That's one of the big things. And because they're actually so transparent about everything, how much they've got in their reserves, how much is in circulation, how much is minted, etc., you're actually able to evaluate quite clearly. What they've got going for it. Okay, which also shows you, in my mind, one of the big hazards that's there within the cryptocurrency space, because you've got something called the flywheel effect. Okay, and one of the things which is one of the big dangers that I see with the so-called flywheel effect is that you're talking about forward movement without friction. Okay, and when you're talking about forward movement without friction, you've got this kind of like positive feedback loop where you're talking about up and up only. There's only one direction, and that's up. And in my mind, this is one of the big dangers within the cryptocurrency space, because you're talking about relying on emotion guiding your decision-making process, as opposed to rational analysis actually being the underlying factor, the core foundation of your crypto analysis, which is why I strongly encourage people not to look at hype, but to look at the underlying figures, look at the underlying structure, look at how vulnerable a certain project might be to an attack of this variety. So, for example, if there's a coordinated attack, would there be an enormous downward pressure placed in the overall price? Very difficult to say. But so far, what we've seen is that the Luna price has been supported by basically the deep pockets of LFG, the Luna Foundation Guard, as well as the very deep pockets of Do Kwon. Who, like I said, I have an enormous amount of respect for. He's done very good work within the market, and the way I see it is he's done very well over the years. So, like I say, props to him, and major credit to him for being a leader during this time, because he has done very, very well over the course of this. Okay, so just looking back at this, because there are a couple of key things that I need to be able to underline at this moment in time. Okay. So you're talking about a certain death spiral, okay? So previously, to go into it, you were talking about the price maintenance, okay? Part of how it was maintained was the actual anchor protocol, okay? Now, one of the key things quite regularly. In future videos, I'll find a separate term. But one of the core concepts, and one of the anchor, no pun intended, one of the anchoring factors behind it was basically they would maintain it by giving basically a 20% return on investment for people who were staking. Now, that was an unrealistic sum, and that was actually acknowledged by the anchor protocol. Okay, so looking at this, what exactly took place within it? Okay, the so-called positive loop. Okay, that UST contraction would lead to Luna being minted. Thus, with a greater supply of Luna, you'd have a reduction or a decline in the overall price, which would lead to more UST redemptions, which is by and large what actually took place here. And actually looking at it overall, what we saw is that it basically spiraled out of control. UST price dropped, Luna price dropped, and it subsequently resulted in a major we would say run on UST, run on Luna, And people, so we've heard of, for example, that Martini guy. He actually bought more Luna at this time. He's actually longing Luna, according to what we know. So it's a very interesting thing at this moment in time. Okay, so just looking at this, there are a number of key things to emphasize. Number one, do not rely on emotional decisions alone. That's not only in crypto, but also in management. Never rely on emotional decisions. Number two, always exercise rational faculty. Okay? So those are core concepts right there. Okay? So just going through some of the other questions that were there at this moment. Okay? What we've seen, and just kind of like going through this. Okay? So, yeah. So that's why I think actually what you're going to see is that in the future, instead of just a reliance on an algorithmic model, which is subject to attacks like these, you might actually be more in line of a hybrid model. So for example, a hybrid model being part peg and part algorithmic, okay? So in my mind, that's going to be that's going to be one of the big moves that you're going to see. There are certain projects that are in place for this, but I think that's going to be one of the big sort of forward trends that you're going to see in the very near future. And certain speculative attacks that take place like these, you're going to see certain safeguards that are enacted against these. Okay, so that's how I see it at this moment in time. Okay, thankfully, looking at it, I mean, it's currently hovering at about 0.90 cents to the dollar, which in my mind is a very good thing. Okay, so right now we're starting to see some positive movements. I'm just looking at the charts now. We're starting to see some very positive movements. Trust is going to be shaken. Certain principles of algorithmic stablecoins, they will be undermined. They will be questioned by this whole thing. But I would say continue looking at this. USD does have its utility as a direct result of the Anchor protocol. Of course, the return on investment is far too high at this moment in time. They're currently paying you 19.5%. I stand corrected for my 20%. And these are key things that we are seeing at this moment in time. Okay, so for example, one of the dangers that we saw is that, and this is a danger when I say when I talk about leverage trading, to take out small leverage if you can. Okay, is when you're looking at leverage as a whole, people are taking out 100x positions on UST and subsequently longing it. That's a foolhardy thing to do, because you're being told that you get maybe 19.5% interest risk-free. Of course, you're going to borrow to put in. That's going to be one of the big things that you're going to see there, because that's exactly what Abracadabra did, and DGen Box before its collapse. All right. So looking at some of the other questions. Yeah, we're seeing. We're just seeing a number of key things. Basically, there was a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That there was a lot of downward pressure on Luna. When you're talking about more Luna being redeemed, that it subsequently puts the price down with more UST withdrawals taking place. So it leads to a vicious cycle rather than the flywheel effect, where things tend to be very positive. Okay, so I believe those are the key things that we need to look at over the course of that. All right. So just looking at the questions here, there are a number of different things that you guys want to be able to ask about SnapX as well, as opposed to just market trends. Okay. So let me just go through these. Okay, somebody has been asking, when will the CEX listing take place? Okay, thanks for that question. All right. So with regards to CEX listing, there is so like I said in one of our previous streams, we're actually in talks with a number of different centralized exchanges at this moment in time. We're currently listed on PancakeSwap as well as ABCC Exchange, which is a Singapore licensed exchange. Of course, we're talking to a number of different Tier 1 and Tier 1.5 exchanges. But of course, it's all about how you can get the best value, okay? And how you can deliver the best value and the best returns back to the community. So with the launch of our next cornerstone feature, I do anticipate at this moment in time that there will be a major swing in a very positive direction with the Snap token, because we're talking about it being a platform token. And when you're talking about a platform token, the core thing that you're looking at is basically how it supports the platform as a whole. That's what we want to be able to do. It's about using the token to be able to support the platform, and vice versa. The platform supports the token supports the platform. And with a use case like what's coming up on the 16th, before we do the hard launch, we're currently aiming for June 6th there, is that you actually have a use case, you actually have a strong backing, and you have a strong platform to be able to do it. Because that's what we always emphasize. We emphasize the strength of the platform rather than just shill a token. Because the platform is what everything comes down to. And that's what I believe the core use case will be for the token. It's not just staking, but it's a matter of how you use the token. And that's what we want to emphasize in the coming months. So there's a lot of exciting stuff, a lot of exciting developments, a lot of key things happening there, which are quite exciting. And I have time for one more question. So let's have a look at some of the other ones. Like I said, some of the questions were pre-selected, but I might have time for one more. Okay. Some of you actually had some positive feedback about the KYC. Some of you were asking, yeah, sometimes if there's an issue with KYC, you just need to re-upload your documents. Don't worry about that. And those are the key things we need to go. Those are the key questions you guys had. All right. So we'll finish the stream there. Want to thank everybody for joining us over the course of this. There'll be more coming up. I want to do one of these every week, or potentially even more. So keep posted, keep following. We'll have more exciting developments happening on our Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Telegram. So be sure to stay tuned. Be sure to follow. We'll see you guys in the next stream. And thank you very much for tuning in. See you soon.